Whether it's the things that go bump in the night or any of the unconfirmed sights or sounds of our little desert oasis, this is Peter Price with your weekly insight to a world unseen. As anyone in our station's town of Hope will tell you, the case between the local deputy sheriff and a humble farmer has made no efforts to reach an end as town folks take sides and make claims against both parties in question. A shovel belonging to the farmer had been torn into disrepair, and the farmer blames the deputy sheriff, claiming that he had ran the damn thing over. But the deputy had no recollection of running over the farmer's tool, and he said that if he did without realizing, that he was sorry, but still refused to pay for the shovel because he truly believed he did not mutilate the farmer's tool. To keep things professional, our studio has remained completely unbiased towards either side, which includes the lying farmer, who has done nothing for our amazing little town while the deputy sheriff risks his life every day to keep the creeps and killers at bay. To recap last week's broadcast, we discussed the idea that the Mole People have changed their base of operations from under Southern California to underneath of Hope. That's right, underneath your very feet. And we believe that the moles desecrated the very shovel in question in an attempt to delay the discovery of their underground base. But after receiving seismograph readings from a loyal fan of our program, we have denied the proof of the presence of mole men underneath of our town or within a 150-mile radius of the county. Which got me thinking, Hope, what if the cause of the broken shovel wasn't coming from below our feet, but above the stars? Some may consider this a bold claim, but I firmly believe that the sheriff's deputy in question has been abducted by an extraterrestrial being or beings, and a doppelganger was left in his place as a social experiment to see how the town will react to the very events that have unfolded due to the argument started between the doppelganger and the farmer. And I mean, how exciting would that be? An alien with a sort of chameleon-like ability to change its appearance. I mean, of course, I'm only comparing, but have no comprehension of any kind of extraterrestrial anatomy. But the deputy's wife told the station, and I quote, "This whole ordeal has torn him apart. He hasn't been the same since papers caught wind of the situation." Now I ask you fine folks listening, why would he not seem the same since the events previously described? The aliens haven't mastered the science of copying a man's complete life yet? Maybe, but I doubt it. Any species equipped with interstellar space travel are far more advanced than we are on Earth. But what if the deputy's change in disposition was implemented on purpose to hint at the very experiment? Think about it, Hope. And on the topic of aliens, Mount Tanner has had yet another unconfirmed encounter of the extraterrestrial. Something on or in the mountain seems to be a real magnet to our otherworldly visitors. Anyone who witnessed the sighting from last night should call the station immediately and give us all of the details. Like, what were the lights like? Did you get burned? We're all very curious to know. As a voice of the community, I feel as though I have a certain responsibility to give words of warning to keep all of you fine listeners out of trouble. Keep clear of Ashen Falls Forest area, especially after dark. Hundreds of stories have come from the spooky forest. Ghosts and monsters and all kinds of creepy paranormal activity have been unconfirmed, but I personally wouldn't test it. One day, maybe, with the right equipment, I will venture into the haunted woods in the name of community radio. But until then, stay clear, listeners. In other news, a fine listener of our program all the way in Bright Falls called in late last night to report a large shadow swimming in the waters of the river that separates our communities. This isn't anything new with all the large fish and turtles in the river, I told him, but he said it wasn't any fish he'd ever seen. More like a mermaid. And this startled me at first, knowing that mermaids are indeed ruthless killing machines seducing young men into the water and quickly drowning them, as the legends say. So teach your children early to avoid mermaids. Disney has made them out to be wonderful creatures, but make sure your children know not to make that mistake. They can only make it once. Oh, listeners! I just got word that a strange thing was spotted alongside the 936 freeway just south of Fairport. The caller was driving and quickly hung up without giving us a description, but that was smart. Please, listeners, try your very best not to call the station while driving. It isn't safe. And if you see this thing trying to hitchhike, don't pick it up, people. Who knows what its intentions are? Nothing to report in Bryson Springs. I mean, obviously. I mean, who would even live in Bryson Springs? It's so boring. I mean, no offense to any listeners in Bryson Springs, but I picture all of you wearing polo shirts and slacks every day while eating boiled foods regularly. I mean, I doubt they even have community radio in Bryson Springs. But, we're out of time. So, same time next week, and until then, I'm Peter Price, and you can't put a price on insight to a world unseen.